Hello everyone, it's Embers and Ashes, and welcome back to Lake of Voices. Let's see. The last I left off, I believe we were trying to cross the lake, and we just spotted I think they're called a Nixie, following behind us, and we came up with a plan to keep an eye on it. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Then, all at once, I noticed the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Emily, they're stopping.
Bemele slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says something akin to distress.
There's another one.
Oh no, there's another one! I tug on Bemele and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Ah, it's behind him! Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling toward us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hand turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Bemele speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bemele's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hand grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far. The light will blow out before it reaches the Nix.
Okay, so singular is Nyx. Okay, fair enough. Oh god, look at that contorted body. Oh, that's terrifying. He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Is it only the approaching light that's making it retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog's partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. Voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake, in the distance and onto the edges of the bridge. I wouldn't trust that. They want him to mess up. Then suddenly, the guide takes multiple long, fast strides forward, throws the lantern, and jumps backward to regain the lost distance. There's a sharp hiss and then a deep splash, and the voices of the Nixie grow quieter. Not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
This is intense, and the music is just making me nervous. I glance at Bemele and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. Oh, that is a close-up right there. The first prowler. It's still there. It's right there. Pull him forward. Oh god. I shift around, pulling Bemele behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bemele, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Then there's a slick splash. I realize the Nix has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bemele and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kikka, thank you.
I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. Oh no! Oh no! Kick it off! Ugh. I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nix's hold slips. It can't pull with the momentum I've gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out towards the Nix. The light brushes its face. We see it for an instant, its eyes wide, and then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bemele grabs Margaret and I both, helping us toward the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I looked away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
I would be freaking out. I'd be like, oh my god! Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there's nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of Bemele. I need to in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety, but I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head wrathfully and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I'm able.
Kikka, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Whew.
Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bemele and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as that monster's grasp, ends my train of
Lost
thought.
the lantern I threw. The Nix grabbed it after the light went out.
Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
That's very true. A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me and just as quickly stops. Bemele chuckles in response, and our collective tension eases up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
Oh, I'm tired apparently. The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bemele's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bemele stays by my side as I keep at the end. Yeah, that happens. I can't talk. Bemele stays by my side as I keep at the end of the line. The breath of release for Margaret and Bemele is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sinnlos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of the prowlers reaching out toward us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The prowlers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pained expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they're like demon creatures living in the lake, yeah, something's wrong with them.
They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land. It's not right.
I mean, fair enough. Of course it isn't. They are monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly, truly hope that's the last we'll see of the prowlers.
Oh, yeah, me too, but I doubt it. Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
You. Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bemele and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemele loses his position momentarily.
Yeah, but do you want to be in the back, Margaret?
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bemele's surprise is so apparent. I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself, too. Bemele returns to his usual surety? I've never seen that word before. Which is unusual. Unusual? Usual?
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kikka focuses ahead.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
It's not my life, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Bemele turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death, no matter how experienced Bemele and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult. Okay, yeah, I'll stay in the back, yeah.
Seems like it.
Yes, I think we'll be good here. But really, thank you. That was a very kind offer.
Well, all right.
Margaret respects our decision and trots ahead a bit to catch back up with the guide. He who has paid no mind to the entire affair.
child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Are we there yet? That's all I can think of. Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to
We
vocalize.
still have some ways to go.
Oh my lord. How long is this bridge? How big is this lake?
Damn.
Same thoughts. Same, Bemele. I suppress my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
Way to keep it positive, Margaret. That's a good thought.
I like the way you think.
Then a gleam enters Bemele's eyes, and he grins.
I think Kikka deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
Aw, thanks, Bemele. He leans softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to... what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Bemele was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Bemele shakes a fist at Margaret in mock anger, then shoots me an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
So you say.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Bemele laughs self-consciously, scratching his head.
That's very true. You can always count on Kikka.
Aw. I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, almost grateful to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Yeah, the one person that is, paying attention to what they're doing other than the guide. The guide just doesn't care. He's walking along the bridge. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. After some time, I notice Margaret isn't keeping up with the guide as much as she was before. I realize it's because the guide has increased his pace. Oh no, he's walking faster. Margaret begins to jog in an effort to keep up with him, and Bemele and I do the same. Despite this, the guide keeps getting further away. We go faster and faster, until suddenly we're full-on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. Figures in the dark fog fly past us at a blur, and it occurs to me that branching paths in the bridge appear to be sinking? I try hard to swallow my rising panic. Yeah, that doesn't seem good. The guide shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic pounding of our footsteps. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't stop. Turn? When he takes a masterfully sharp right down a different path using his own momentum and the sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Margaret must not have worked out the warning either, as she's completely caught off guard by the guide's changing course. She runs straight ahead, past the turn, and continues down the path we've been following up until now. She clumsily begins to halt her momentum down the wrong bridge. Then I come upon the fork. Oh, I don't want to turn. I don't want to leave Margaret. I make a hard turn following the guide and leaving Margaret at the rear. Bemele's footsteps stay as loud as they were before. He's made the turn as close behind me as ever. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Margaret turn around and try to come back to us, only to have the bridge in front of her fall away. No, Margaret! I slow down for a breath, feeling the impulse to turn back, but ignore it. There's no time. Margaret can make the jump, and then she'll rejoin us. I keep my eyes glued to the guide's back, ears perked for Margaret's footsteps approaching behind us. And then I hear it. A scream. No! No, not Margaret! I mean, I know she was kind of a bitch in the beginning, but she became a friend. No! I whip around, sliding to a stop. Margaret is sinking. The bridge she's on is sinking into the water. Ugh. She's disappearing. She didn't jump.
What are you doing?
Margaret's head shoots up, her face strained of all color.
Jump!
She stumbles near the edge of the bridge, staring at the placid water of the lake. Even from a distance, I can see her shaking. I can't say if it's from the bridge's descent or her own fear. She barely seems to remain standing. I swallow painfully. Margaret bends and tries to jump. She curves in a small arc, achieving more height than she should, and lands directly in the lake with a muted splash. No! No! Bamele starts beside me, but I grab his hand and pull. We start running again, leaving Margaret flailing in the water behind us. No, Margaret! We don't need to watch this. We both know exactly what will happen to her now. Margaret's anguished cries pierce the night. Then the screaming stops. Oh, Margaret, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Achievement unlocked, inevitability. Oh no. My legs grow weak. It isn't right, but I push myself to keep going. Bamele curses between heavy breaths, calling those things every foul name in his large book. I try to focus on the pounding of my feet, but my brain won't cooperate. Instead, I imagine Margaret's terror as she's clawed to pieces by the Nixie. After everything, I didn't help her. We left her in the dark. Oh, I'm sorry, Margaret. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. Almost as if in response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to a stop as well, sliding on the surface of the wood.
Why did we stop?
Bamele's voice is tired, but his guard is up. The guide doesn't answer, just stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following his gaze further down the path. Whoa, who is that? There, curled in a little ball, illuminated by the lantern's light, cowers a person. His hands grip his head and he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that, Kikka.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
You couldn't what? I'm struck with an array of questions. What is going on? Why would he wander out onto these bridges on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for being that. Sorry. If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seemingly only just now having the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with the clear markings of terror, are scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do.
Leave him.
What? Why? Why? Why would we leave him? I snap my eyes away from the man and instead to the guide's cold, implacable face.
No! We can't just leave him here. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
He won't make it regardless.
Oh, damn. The guide turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to glow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
Wow, okay. I glance at my partner. Bamele is outraged. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guide speaks again, his voice cutting.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges.
What, do you not like this guy?
I didn't agree to lead this man, and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
Oh. Okay, fair enough. Adrenaline surges through my veins and I tense up. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way. We're on our own. Bamele and I frantically share more looks between each other, trying to communicate without words. Neither of us have a desire to speak and be the first to make a choice. The man is standing now, though still hunched with his arms wrapped around himself as if expecting a blow. He stares at the ground rather than at us. Because of this, I'm having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
He glances up, not at me, but towards me. his eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
I mean,
Sir,
fair enough.
you have no way to defend yourself. We can't leave you.
Yes, I'm sure in your eyes I might not seem like much, but that's not exactly a fair shake. Maybe in a perfect world, every man would be as large as you. That's not how things always go. It doesn't mean I'm defenseless.
You looked pretty defenseless, curled up in a ball, just sitting there on the bridge. The man's response is meandering. The words themselves seem to be in good jest, but he's still barely looking at us, fidgeting with his hands. Bamele frowns, unimpressed.
It was a joke.
Great joke there, stranger. Great joke. He smiles hesitantly, making eye contact with each of us for the first time. Bamele does not look happy.
What part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget the two. Point is, I'm alright.
Are you sure you're alright?
You have found yourself out alone and unlit on Sinnlos.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He lets out a weak little laugh, coupled with an eyebrow raise, voice trembling. No one really knows what to make of this. The man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Bamele huffs, tossing his hands into the air.
That's not even the right way.
It is for me.
Oh? You must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore you started on.
The man's smile grows.
That's not so bad.
There is no response to this remark, unsure of what could be said.
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
I look over the man's body, noting the scrawniness of his limbs. Scrawny, but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to faded yet again, and now he's standing quietly, looking at us as if watching a play. Interest, but no true connection to the events.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Bamele's hands turn to fists. He looks away, but doesn't say anything. For a moment, no one knows. Yeah, because I only have one light now because Margaret's gone. And then the guide's light, but he ain't giving that up, obviously. I feel a cold sweat on my brow as what I feared comes to pass. He's stopping us from protecting another. Why must he get involved in now? Why can he not leave us to make our own decisions?
Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
And he's just ready to go, but I have a feeling he is definitely going to die. The man's voice is full of something I cannot place, and he starts to shuffle back down the way he came, arms still clenched around himself. Oh my god, I keep yawning. I know the guide wants to act as though there is no option. However, I could stay back with him. It'll put Bamele and myself at significantly more risk, but at least this man will stand a chance. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it. I can't risk it. Bamele stares at the man as he leaves. We both watch him drag his little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. We had to let him go. We've already suffered the loss of one of our own. The space the man vanished into was dark and silent. We could see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps. The guide was right. There are no other options. Well, that is what I have to believe. We need to get through this somehow, and being weighed down with guilt will only distract us. The guide starts moving again at a quick pace. After a moment's hesitation and one last glance into the truly lifeless fog, we run to catch up to him. We walk onwards in silence. Our party hasn't changed. Stranger was never added to it, so it's not as if it makes sense to miss him. But there's a sense of loss all the same. No one even attempts mirth. Though Bamele constantly looks to want to reach out towards my empty hand, always thinking better of it before doing so. I keep thinking I should have done more. Should have pushed the guide harder to change his mind so it was less dangerous to keep the man around. Something, anything. But I have to let this go. I'm not going to forget that man. I'll never forget him. But we still need to get through this. I curl my hands into fists, hoping it'll strengthen my resolve. Then I push forward. We turn down a different path, and the guide stops. Oh, there's a lot of them. Ahead of us stands a group of prowlers. At the sound of us, they turn their heads in unison, as if they knew we were coming. I inhale. The prowlers wriggle somehow, their skin moving more slowly than it should, sliding across their skeletons. They laugh.
We cannot lose another lantern at this point. We're almost to the island.
The guide rummages through his coat with his free hand.
What are you planning?
Bamele's tone is borderline threatening, but the guide ignores him. He pulls out a small pouch, then opens a latch on his lantern.
Wait, are you going to throw that at them? What if the bridge sets on fire?
It will. We're going to run.
This is insane! These bridges are hellish enough without them also being on fire.
So, any particular reason we're definitely going to set the bridge on fire?
And what about the other man? If he's still out there, this could...
He's dead. We're not losing another lantern.
He says it with such detached certainty. It's as if he saw it happen himself. No one argues with him. The guide steps closer to the prowlers. We follow in step behind him, staying close to his back. He bends his lantern back down until it is lowered to his outstretched arm. The pouch in his hand is set aflame. With a practiced flick of the wrist, he swings the staff back up. The glass on the lantern snaps closed.
Don't get left behind.
He takes 3 quick steps, then tosses the pouch. The prowlers are back in the water before the pouch even lands. As soon as it does, the fire starts to lick and curl itself around the wood. The guide breaks into a sprint, and so do the rest of us. The blaze grows despite the heavy dampness from the lake. That's really cool. All of the embers. This game is so pretty. These bridges aren't normal bridges. Of course that's true. Nothing here is right. Hopefully they won't collapse with the flames. We stay on the guide's heels, almost too close for comfort. If he stops abruptly, we'll all crash into one another, maybe even fall off the bridge. Then the world tilts. I was mid-stride when I put my foot down. The bridge isn't where it was. It lurches to one side, either because it was weakened or pushed. Bamele and I manage to keep our ground, as does the guide. He presses on without even bothering to see if we were able to follow. Bamele growls in frustration as we push to keep up with the guide's pace. As our storm of feet thunder across the boards, a silver sliver begins to rise into view just above the edge of the water.
It's the island.
Yay! The island? I squint and suddenly make out the craggy forms of land and earth. I see it. We're almost there. Safety at long last in sight. New energy surges through me. We push ourselves faster, longing to put these god-forsaken bridges behind our backs. All at once, the bridge ends, and our entire group rushes ashore. Earth, solid earth, a haven from the water. I catch my breath while still moving even further away from the dark shoreline. I can't believe we actually made it. Even more difficult is the idea that we're only halfway done. Oh my lord. Sheesh. When night falls once more, we have to do it all again. A heavy arm falls across my shoulders, and I straighten to see Bamele smiling wearily at me.
Good work out there.
It's not the usual commendation of a job well done. There's sadness, perhaps even sympathy in the sentence. It ends flatly. With a sigh, he leans his head to the side, having it rest slightly against mine. Usually Bamele's comfort and good nature gives me at least the urge to smile, but right now it feels like a hollow victory. Despite still having the comfort of one another, we were incapable of doing any true good. We were only able to save ourselves. A quiet moment passes between us. And then the guide is there. He moves so smoothly that his steps on the soft sand are nearly silent, and his dusky clothes blend with the thinning of the
The
night.
sun will rise soon. The fire on the bridge is the only reason this island isn't overrun with prowlers right now. However, they could still pose a threat.
Bemele levels an empty look towards the guide.
Is there something we should do?
Alright, so following him. The guide takes us to an area a bit further inland, but not too far from the water. Trees partially obscure our location, and there's enough room to watch the coast in case prowlers start to emerge from the water. Essentially, it's a place where an ambush would be hard.
If any of you see anything at all, speak up. We don't want them to sneak up on us.
Almost automatically, each member of the group turns to a different direction. As the sky continues to fade from pale purple to muted blue, the waters stay silent. For the first time, nothing happens. It is a miracle. Suddenly, my chest is lighter and the air is fresher. Oh, that's so pretty. The first pricks of light appear over the horizon, stinging my eyes after such a long journey through darkness. A sound catches my attention, and I move my focus towards its direction. The guide is opening the latch on his lantern again. He gently, almost respectfully, blows out the light.
We no longer have to worry about the Nixie. It is over for today.
My question is, why are they traveling during night when the Nixie are, like, the worst thing to worry about? Like, why not travel during the day when you don't have to worry about them? Does, like, their bridge disappear for no reason or something? It's obviously a magic lake. It's obviously there's something wrong with that lake. I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, an understanding passing between us. Then we find our own space, as comfortable as we can get, and lie down for the rest. For the rest, we weren't sure would ever come. My eyes slowly blink open and readjust to the brightness, what little there is. The sun is obscured by a thick layer of fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop up my elbows and push myself up. The ground is hard and rocky, but that isn't the only reason I am eager to get on my feet. I check my surroundings. The harsh, craggy earth of the island is interlaced with twisting vines and gnarled branches. Beside me, Bemele is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize that I don't recall seeing him lay down with everyone. It's likely he left us hours ago. There is a creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. It refuses to relent. I shift my weight back and forth, unsure of what to do with myself. Memories of last night's harrowing journey flicker through my mind. Bemele wakes suddenly, rising with alarm. My mouth opens, then shuts, and after a moment of fumbling, a word finally escapes.
Hello.
Not even morning, it's hello. Bemele gives me a gentle smile and makes his way over to me.
Morning.
A pocket of quiet descends over us. Bemele sighs. The atmosphere is weighing on him already.
We should eat something soon.
Yes.
Silence again! Wow, this is awkward. Hey, the guide's back. A distinct rustling of the leaves around catches my attention. The guide appears, emerging from the thicket. Bemele glares at him as he makes his way over.
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious. Before the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why do you do this?
I sharply turn towards Bemele as he snarls and confronts the guide.
If you had just let him follow like this, if you had been there before, none of this would have happened. They didn't have to die.
They didn't have to, but I'm pretty sure they did, because I got an achievement called Inevitable when poor Margaret died. Sorry, Margaret. The guide looks away, seemingly unaffected.
If all you're going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Bemele's severe words, the guide apparently considers his piece here finished. He turns toward the forested area from which he came. Bemele calls out to the guide, reaching toward him. Before he can make contact, I quickly place a hand on his shoulder. He lowers his arms to his side, though I can still feel wrath emanating from him. We stay this way until the guide disappears from view. Bemele begins to kick at the ground, spraying tiny pieces of gravel about.
Bemele, I know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
We've done so well with him.
I gave him a cold glance. We won't even know which bridge to take without the guide. Bemele knows that. This needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back.
We can't afford to lose our way.
The anger etched into his expression fades into sadness.
I can't stay here right now.
Quietly, I speak. I need to be alone. Bemele, wait. I'm going to speak with the guy. Bemele, wait. I speak too softly for Bemele to hear. Lingering for only a moment, I start following the trail Bemele took. It doesn't take him long to notice I'm there, and he slows his pace so I can easily catch up. We fall into step for a short while, neither of us speaking. Eventually, we come to a thick stand of trees and wordlessly weave our way through the branches. Once we're hidden by the foliage, Bemele leans against a tree trunk, head hung low. Negativity radiates off him, but I don't know what I should say. Fortunately, he breaks the silence.
I apologize for that look.
I nod firmly. His reply isn't unexpected. For as long as I have known Bemele, he has had a tendency to let his temper flare, then regret it later after processing his thoughts.
I know that dealing with these sorts of situations calmly is part of the job. I cannot tell myself everything is fine, that none of it matters. Sure, I can feel something without it being anger, but I've not figured that out either.
Rather than speak, I try to listen as supportively as I can while Bemele continues to argue with himself. He sighs while pensively rubbing the bridge of his nose.
Am I simply being foolish? Would it really have been so harmful to try and help someone else instead of focusing solely on oneself? It looks to me like we're telling ourselves these lines to avoid responsibility.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. It's possible
Kikka,
nothing would have worked
you and I are on the same page. You
Also,
don't know
it
anything.
would have been worse.
Bemele stares across the empty waters of Sinnlos.
I want it to be clear that I have not forgotten that those people across this lake are depending upon us. Not for a moment. But would they want us to be so focused on them that we should turn a blind eye to others right in front of us? Even if they would, does that matter? We are more than weapons. We are people. Do we have to cast that aside? Turn away from our fellow humans just to achieve a so-called greater good? It is not as though this village is a haven of saints. They are only as worthwhile as we are, and these people on the bridges with us, aren't they?
Don't know.
That's the only thing Kikka knows, is that she doesn't know. I can feel the weight of his words settle upon me. I have had similar thoughts, and have questioned what the correct choice is, but unlike Bemele, I have always been silent. I clench my fists tight to try and stop from saying something rash. Bemele closes his eyes tight and rubs his face again. It is clear this hasn't been enough to give him much peace. Eventually, his eyes reopen and look directly into mine.
What do you think about all this, Kikka? Please, be honest with me. I want to hear it.
Oh no. Suddenly, my eyes are hot. My vision blurs slightly from tears I desperately am trying to hold back.
Really don't know. That is the truth.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a choice. My words are soft, whether he heard or not. The look on my face is enough to garner his attention. His eyebrows rise. He walks over to me slowly, concerned.
Kikka, what is troubling you?
I don't have the answers to what you are wondering. Who are we meant to protect? Everyone we can? Whoever we're told to serve and no one else? Just ourselves? Should we only try to protect others when the risk is minimal?
I like that she has tears in her character design right there. That's a nice touch to detail.
I have no idea what the right option is.
I'm just trying to get through my life. I mean, it's just life in general. I have no idea what the right option is. I'm just doing my best here. Bemele's confusion only mounts with my words.
I am sorry for disappointing you.
Oh, no.
No, you haven't disappointed me in any way. I never should have expected someone else to give me answers to those kinds of questions. It was only, I did not think that...
He does not finish his thought, but I know what he meant to say.
You did not think I was concerned with your issues.
Aw. He smiles awkwardly over being caught.
Yes, you never seemed to be bothered by anything we experienced before now.
With his words, my carefully held resolve crumbles. In an instant, my cheeks are wet with hot fluid cooling in the chill air as it slips down my face. I'm crying!
I've always cared. I've always been afraid and confused, but I have kept up
I stop and gasp for air, my throat almost as tight as when we were running on the bridges.
a farce of strength in order to get by.
I breathe deeply with relief, terrified and lightheaded from my confession. Bemele's voice is as delicate as flower petals.
I had no idea. How could I not have noticed?
Because I did whatever I could to make sure no one did. I have never wished to appear weak in front of others. But even this, I barely get through each day. I often feel overwhelmed with sadness at all that we've experienced.
Bemele gently places his hands on my shoulders as I try not to sob wildly. Wow, this is emotional.
Kikka, I truly apologize for all the thoughtless things I have said to you.
I shake my head, sniffling.
There is no need for you to apologize.
He smiles, the warmth almost enough to make me forget the damp.
I beg to differ. I have failed to treat you right.
Aw, Bemele.
You have always been respectful.
A person needs more than respect from their comrades. They also need support. I have never given you that kind of consideration because I believe someone like you did not need it.
The same could be said for me.
Aw.
Nonsense. You have listened to my rambling on more occasions than I can remember. Though, admit my memories may not be there due to being drunk many of those times.
Bemele laughs at himself while glancing in my direction to encourage me to do the same. His comforting words make me smile, and I feel my tears finally cease to fall. Yeah, then I will continue to support you. He grins wider than he has since he began this horrible journey.
You have my thanks.
And you have mine.
Aww. Abruptly, his expression becomes serious once more.
I will come to answer these questions someday. But no matter what I decide, I will still put trust in your judgment.
I feel like that's a mistake because I am technically Kikka and nobody should put trust in my judgment. I am horrible at that kind of thing. I fear I may not live up to the belief he seems to have in me, but I nod firmly. He returns my nod.
Perhaps we should go check how everything is on the island.
That sounds like an excellent idea. And I will accompany you, of course.
I feel like we were just aimlessly walking around while this all happened and we have no idea where we are. I would like that to be a thing, but I doubt it.
Glad to hear it.
Together, we walk back towards the interior of the island. Both our moods lift as we stay side by side. And I think I'm going to end this there. Yes, save over that file. Well, I thought this was just going to be a two-parter, but I guess it's going to be a three-parter because this is getting long and I don't have a lot of time left. But it seems like I'm going in the right direction, although I'm sad we lost Margaret, and I'm sad we didn't get to save that strange man. But at least we made it halfway. Halfway, oh my gosh. It might be a four-parter then. Anyway, that is Lake of Sinnlos. Or not Lake of Sinnlos. That's the name of the lake. Lake of Voices is the name of the game. Yeah, so, so far so good, I think. Bemele and I are both still alive. That's great. I'm saying a lot because I don't really know what to say. But, you know, I never know what to say. But I do know I can say this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe while you're at it, and don't forget to ring that bell to get notified when the next Lake of Voices video comes out. And I'm saying a lot again. I don't know words. But anyways,